My friends at Cricket Wireless and ESPN are giving away a trip to one of the year's biggest sporting events. We're talking about an opportunity to choose an ultimate bucket list event. Visit cricketsweepstakes.com/ESPN bucket list or go to your local cricket store to enter.
SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to find tickets for the football games you want to see up close and in person this season. There's nothing like being right there in the stadium for the biggest plays of the year. And with SeatGeek, it's never been easier to get the guaranteed seats you want for a great value. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone, and it is by far the easiest way I've found to shop for tickets. I can be anywhere with just a few taps. I can instantly find seats for this weekend or any game this entire season. With SeatGeek, you always get the best deal on every ticket because SeatGeek price compares for you by searching multiple ticket sites. Prices can vary depending on where you shop, but SeatGeek will always find you the lowest available price anywhere. Best of all, our listeners get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. To get your $20 rebate on tickets, download the SeatGeek app, go to the Settings tab, click Add a Promo Code, enter promo code J and J. SeatGeek will send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase on the SeatGeek app. Download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code J and J today.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He's Jalen Rose.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby. We're Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. You got the back today.
What they want.
I love it when you bring the bat back. I love it
Gotta
when you
give
bring
them what
the
they
bat
need.
back. Tony Romo's sad, Jalen. Tony Romo's sad.
You need a man.
He's sad. He wants to be the starting quarterback of America's team. He wants to be the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Of America's team.
He's not. Dak Prescott's the starting quarterback.
But you know what's going to eventually happen, right?
Oh, we all know what's going to happen.
Okay. Let everybody know what's going to happen.
Dak's going to get injured.
Yep.
Tony Romo's going to come in. Mm-hmm. He's going to mess it all up.
Yes.
He's going to throw some late interceptions.
Yes.
He's going to do Tony Romo things.
Yeah.
He's going to solidify the fact that not only is he not the starting quarterback right now for the Cowboys, but he's not the starting quarterback for the Cowboys in the future.
And also, we're not predicting negative things because we're against the Cowboys' success or we don't want to see Tony Romo do well. But this is how storylines in sport play out. Media members have done this for ages. They put the bar so high that they know that you probably can't accomplish it, so at the end, they're right. Yep. I'll give you an athlete's example. Barry Bonds, one of the greatest to ever do it. We all know if he'd have played left field for the Yankees, he would have got a World Series. But for whatever reason, he wasn't in that position. So if people didn't like him, they say, well, the Giants, they're going to win it all this year. So therefore, no matter how many home runs he hit, how many times he walked, no matter what average he hit for, that person could be right. And so I want to bring that back to the Tony Romo case because I agree with you. And I agree with you because Dallas is not winning the Super Bowl this year.
No.
Which means...
You don't know that.
I do know
You
that.
don't know that. Dallas is certainly
not.
the Super Bowl contender. They have the best record in the NFL but because Jalen Rose just says Dallas isn't going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I did say that.
Okay.
Let me see. Did I watch that? Yeah.
Yeah, you said Dallas isn't going to win the Super
Dallas
Bowl.
Cowboys are having an amazing regular season. They lost their first game and they won 8 straight.
Haven't lost since.
Ezekiel Elliott should be a front runner for MVP. Dak Prescott and he should share Rookie of the Year. Their defense, a friend of mine actually plays on it. Orlando Scandrick. They're playing really good. I admire the season that the Cowboys are having. And I got a closeted moment for you. Until they unceremoniously let go of Jimmy Johnson, I was actually a Cowboy fan.
What? Closeted moment.
I grew up and the games weren't on Thursdays. We didn't have League Pass. Our Super Bowl in Detroit is Thanksgiving Day.
Why would you say they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year definitively?
Because I just don't think the balance that they've been able to create with their running versus passing attack, with their amazing offensive line that's done a terrific job of protecting their defense, will be able to consistently do that when they go against the elite level of competition as the season progresses.
Do you feel bad for Tony Romo? He got emotional when he made his statement. You could tell he was bothered. Emotional.
So when they lose, I'm going to tell you when it's going to happen. Big shout to Dez Bryant. I appreciate the way he's handled his adversity with his father dying, catching for over 100 yards, 2 long catches in particular, a big-time TD. Played amazing. Ezekiel Elliott played terrific. It's not because I don't think they're not playing well and having a great regular season. We've seen teams have great regular seasons and not win the Super Bowl or the World Series or the NBA championship. I think the Cowboys' curve for doing that is probably a year or two ahead of schedule. So what I anticipate is going to happen is they're going to get a bye the first weekend. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to run into a team like, say, the Arizona Cardinals. And Tyrann Mathieu is going to be back in the lineup.
You still have the Cardinals going deep in the playoffs.
I'm telling you.
You can't get off this. You guarantee the Cowboys won't win the Super Bowl, but you have the Cardinals going to the NFC Championship.
The final 4 of the NFC Championship picture are going to be the Cardinals, the Cowboys, Seattle. I'm not going to even be a homer and say the Lions.
Don't say the Lions.
I'm not going to be a homer.
Don't say the Lions.
But if I'm going to say the Falcons, I might as well say the Lions. It's truly how I feel. So I reserve the right to leave that spot open. I would have said the Panthers.
I would have said the Panthers too.
But it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Certainly doesn't
so
look like that.
So I'm not going to act like my predictions are all of that. So here's what's going to now happen to your point about Tony Romo. They're going to be in that game. They're going to get a bye. And it's a game they would lose if Dak was quarterbacking anyway. But now Tony's quarterbacking. And the day he has a couple of interceptions, he has a couple of fumbles. Now all of a sudden we shouldn't have put Tony back out there.
It will be interesting. When you win 8 in a row, it's easy to say, oh, we're going to go with the guy who's won 8 in a row. Let's say you lose a couple in a row. You know? Let's say you throw a couple interceptions. Maybe Dak doesn't have a great game. He does have the franchise quarterback backing him up, just sitting there in the wings, waiting to take over. It'll be fun to watch this play out. It's something that we've been talking about since like week 3.
And
I'm tired of it.
And we've seen this before. Now, Bill Parcells is my guy. I don't want to give him a bad night's sleep when I recall this. How about Tony just being the backup? And all of a sudden, you snap it to him, and you're trying to get a long field goal, and he fumbles the football. Or it's an extra point. He drops it.
You know, Tony Romo doesn't get enough credit on that particular play. He did get some yards. Like he almost turned that into like one of the legendary moments in Cowboy history. Like he almost put that together and made it happen.
They're having an amazing season. Super Bowl champion, I think, is a couple of years away. And because of that, we know the end is going to happen. It's clearly going to happen in the playoffs. I'm predicting it's going to happen during the Final Four.
And we putting it on wax.
Vaughn.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
Vaughn.
I like that commercial, though.
Vaughn.
Is it too late now?
It's too late, Vaughn. Vaughn, it's a little too late. Vaughn popped up on TMZ. The reason is in June this year, 2016, he was in Mexico. He was enjoying himself.
What part?
I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming Cabo.
The water's really clear there.
Yeah. Well,
you like that water. It's warm. You can see the bottom.
He met a woman, or he was there with a woman named Elizabeth Ruiz.
Is she a native?
She is a Los Angelino. I believe she currently resides in Los Angeles, according to TMZ, who posted this because Ms. Ruiz and Von Miller, they engaged in coitus. They had a coital affair.
A sexual excursion.
They had a sexual excursion, an escapade. This was filmed.
Was it erotic?
It was erotic. It was also filmed.
Whoa, ho.
It was filmed.
Hit the brakes.
It was filmed.
The only pictures we need, they got to be mental.
It wasn't. It seemed like he knew it was being filmed. It didn't seem like it was one of those like, oh, you caught me unbeknownst to me. Now I'm going to sue you because you filmed me against my will kind of things.
It was one of those things where I don't mind you recording it, Make sure you watch it as many times as you can.
Yeah, just don't show it to anybody. Just don't show it to anybody, and also delete it. So then later he hit her up and said, "You know what? Can you just delete that for me, please?" And then she tried to sell it, apparently. And then Von Miller said that he's being extorted for $2.5 million.
Lord, that's a lot of money.
She said, "I'll destroy it for you for $2.5 million."
What?
What's the first thing that jumps out at you about this?
It stinks to be famous, because a lot of times situations like this may transpire with video or pictures or emails or texts or social media, but it's only an issue when one person has a job, career, or actually something to lose. And while in sports you play for the name on the front of your jersey, you clearly represent the name on the back of it. And yes, he's a Super Bowl winning champion, the best pass rusher in the game, got an amazing contract, a reward by the Denver Broncos for those efforts. The mistake that he made is you can't knowingly allow somebody to film you and then expect them to have a lifetime worth of trust when people are blinded by fame and by dollars.
If you asked him now, "Hey, Vaughn, do you think it was worth it filming that?" His answer is an emphatic no. At the time, and she's like, "Hey, Vaughn, I'm going to film this, cool?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Just make sure you delete it."
Well, here's the thing. If you're the person that has what I'm considering something to lose, and you're really enthusiastic about recording an excursion,
you should be enthusiastic about deleting it.
You should be doing it on your mobile device.
Exactly.
That's what should be happening.
It just sort of seems like it was a little sloppy on his part. Some of the decision-making seems a little cloudy when he was with Miss Ruiz in Mexico.
When it's on your device, you could be like Tom Brady with the phone.
Delete it.
Or destroy it.
Have a little film session. You know what I mean? Just like an NFL player. You know, get in the film room. You and Elizabeth can get in the film room and review it and then delete it. And it's gone forever, Mom.
And let me go KRS-One. Let me go You Must Learn for a quick second. Ladies and gentlemen, every text, every email, every picture, every recording,
everything
you give someone, it's all fine and dandy until that person feels like they're not getting enough of your time, energy, or money.
Mm-hmm.
When that day comes, that's when they start to use all of the words you described this story as being. Blackmail, extortion, slander, assassinating your character. All of these things now become a potential problem of something that he knowingly, potentially allowed to happen. Now, if this was recorded without his knowledge,
and we're not 100% on that, but based on the words that I've read in the TMZ post, it seemed like it was recorded with his knowledge.
Now, I have a flip side for that. It's almost like the person that's sitting in coach that wants to come do a number 2 in first class. If you record somebody without their knowledge, you should be arrested.
Yep.
That's a crime.
Yes. I think
you're invading my privacy. Think about it like this. No matter how much you love your parents, your mate, or your kids, you're the only person that opens your mail. There's a reason why that happened. There is some things that are sacred. And what we're describing should represent a different level of that.
Here's the thing, just to put a bonus. Hey, Vaughn, next time, use your phone. That's all. Use your phone. You can do whatever you want in the bedroom, but next time, probably should use your own phone to record your coitus.
Yep. And also, too, you're clearly recording it not just so you can see. So if you want to put the fellas up on the big screen and show them the kind of work you put in the bedroom while y'all watching film and y'all taking some downtime, have it on your phone.
Here's a message
Let
to young
everybody
people.
watch it and then delete it.
Hey, young people, you send a picture of some of your private parts to someone that you're dating or your significant other, they're showing it to other people. That's just the way it is. That's happening out there in the world.
And
just so you know that.
It's just like this. It's the person that always says, hey, I'm going to tell you this, but don't tell anybody. When you tell that person, guess what they're doing? Telling somebody else and telling them not to tell anyone. So that continues to foster. So, yes, the picture that you're sending, the person that you're dating, the person that you're kicking it with, the one-night stand, soon as they get it, don't think they're not showing it to a homie or a brother.
They are.
Especially if she is cute or fly and or if he's famous. Look who's texting me.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Conor McGregor won his second UFC title belt in Madison Square Garden.
It
was a big event. It was the first UFC title card in New York City, and they promoted it using a lot of sort of New York City songs and
Welcome
branding.
to New York City.
Well, someone noticed that gentleman's name is Cameron. Let's hear what the Dipset General had to say to Dana White.
You've been using my song all week to promote the Conor McGregor fight at Madison Square Garden. The song Welcome to New York City featuring Jay-Z off my album Come Home With Me. Once again, nobody reached out to me. Oh, man. I guess, it's nobody's fault because this is the first time both of these companies are doing business with me. And somebody should have told them how I get in. We'll be reaching out tomorrow, me and my lawyer. See you tomorrow.
So, Jalen, here's the thing. I'm a producer. I was a television producer for over a decade, before me and you launched this show. Here's one thing I know. You can sneak. You can get a little something. You can use a little song here and there, and maybe no one notices, but you can't put it in the promos. When you're promoting something, when it's a commercial, when you're advertising something, you got to pay for that. Yep. You got to pay for that. I hope that they reached out and Cam just didn't hear from his lawyers or whatever.
No, if you Cam, you let it play out exactly the way it did. You don't say nothing till after the fact.
Oh, of course.
Don't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. Let them run with it as many times as. But by the way, it's free advertisement for me because they're still bumping my record.
Mm-hmm. And Jalen Jacoby are going to talk about it after the fact, too.
No question. So, again, I hope that he receives a check. Just like Conor McGregor is hoping to receive a minority ownership in the entire company.
Oh, wait. We actually have some sound from Dana White regarding that minority ownership. I'm not going to be able to do. Oh, okay. Real quick story for you, Jalen Rose. A woman in Manhattan. She bought an article of clothing at Zara. She wore that article of clothing. Were you ever have a smell that you can't get rid of? You're like, is that me? Then you walk into a different room or something. You're like, is that me? Well, she kind of felt that way. And then you buy something new and it feels like there's like an extra tag that you didn't remove. It kind of scratches you a little bit. She felt that way too. So she went to investigate what that tag, what that scratching thing was on this article of clothing. Do you know what was sewn into it?
What?
Leg of a rat. What? A leg of a rat was sewn into her clothing. What would you do if you found out that to be the case?
It's unique because it's not something that she ate. So I think it's going to hamper her opportunity to actually sue for something. I remember going.
Oh, she's going to sue.
I remember going to Top Hat one time when I was young, and I bit into it, and there was a nickel in there. But my teeth were already cracked and chipped. So I was like, they ain't going to believe that it happened when I did this. So I just went back up there and told them that it happened. They're like, hey, man, take 3 hamburgers.
Take 3 hamburgers, but give me that nickel back.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Phil. Mr. Jackson.
He was for real.
Phil. We've all read it. Here's what Phil told Jackie McMullen when he was describing LeBron James.
The Zen Master.
You're on a plane. You are with this team. You can't hold up the whole team because you and your mom and your posse want to spend an extra night in Cleveland. He referred to LeBron James's crew as posse. Mav Carter tweeted this, quote, all the hard work, effort, and achievement, and Phil Jackson still calls us a posse. Every step you take, they remind you, you ghetto. What does Mav mean?
It's one of those frustrations as minorities that you think you've come so far, but yet you still have so far to go. And words are really powerful. And I'll just teach individuals certain things that are offensive that clearly they may or may not realize in this case of Phil Jackson. And one of the things that encouraged me to want to get into this industry is I feel like a lot of media members name called. And not because I felt the players sometimes didn't fit the term that they were using. I just felt like if I'm paying you to articulate yourself about sports, you should be bigger than just name calling. It's almost like when you get into an argument with a friend or a family member. It's like it gets out of whack once the person starts calling you a name. And so a couple of those names that people were calling athletes were cultural, had a bias, and they didn't realize it. One was thug, said a lot. The other, ghetto. And the third one was like, you people. On a corporate level, it goes to a different height. Clique, crew, entourage. That became a nice, safe one. It almost was like when the urban guy has 5 people with him, it's because he's taking care of all of them, and they're just moochers off of his money, his fame, and they're not bringing anything to contribute in a positive way. But when you flip the coin to a different dynamic, it was almost like the HBO television show. It was like all of the people that he has around them, they're bringing value in a certain way, shape, or form. And so for him now to refer to Maverick Carter, Rich Paul, Randy in particular, LeBron's friends that he went into business with, and now they created a conglomerate that represents a mogul that plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers named LeBron James. Mm-hmm. It is a disrespect. It shows a lack of tone, and it shows a lack of, it's flagrant. It's truly what it is. But here's why. They say never argue with a fool from a distance because you can't tell who's who. Well, we know that he's really intelligent, and we know the things that he says are measured. And lastly, what team does LeBron James play on?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Can he worry about the 15 guys he put in uniform to play basketball in New York? So you're taking shots at the throne. Like Jay said, it's like spitting up to God. But you know what happened in this case? It fell in his face.
Is there something to be said for it was just one word in a story that he was telling? He's a little out of touch, too. You know what I mean? That's pretty clear based if you followed Phil Jackson. He's a little out of touch. He's older. He's just using a term, posse, that was popular 20 years ago.
You got to let this mob mentality go. Yeah. Those not just his homeboys hanging around the team. They've built a multi-million-dollar conglomerate. And the face of it, his name is LeBron James, who's a mogul that's doing things as a player that are unprecedented. Magic Johnson, as he created his conglomerate through Magic Johnson Enterprises, it continued to grow as he got older, and it really took off once he retired. The anchor of Michael Jordan's conglomerate has been Jumpman and selling gym shoes. Shaquille O'Neal was a guy that kind of burst through the scene, really making big-time dollars in endorsements and advertisement, being the fun, lovable champion that he was, winning 4 times. And so the next guy is LeBron, that represents players indirectly on his own team. Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith. The conglomerate represented a Heisman Trophy winner at the time in Johnny Manziel. Like, this is stuff we have not seen. Is a philanthropist, has his own Nike basketball camp, is a dad, a son, a father, all for public consumption. So what he has done has been right in front of the public. They're the first family. And yes, this is a disrespect for them to be referred to in this manner.
Here's what LeBron said about it.
To use that label, and if you go and read the definition of what the word posse is, it's not what I've built over my career. It's not what I stand for. It's not what my family stands for. And I believe the only reason he used that word because it's the young African Americans trying to make a difference.
He said, I believe the only reason he used that word is because it's young African Americans trying to make a difference.
Look back at all of the media types, all of the magazines, all of the articles when LeBron James to decide to insulate his professional endeavors to the friends he grew up with who just so happened to be black. and watch what people's opinions were about that. Pretty sure you can Google a lot of individuals. You could just attach any person that's worked in the media during that time, any person that was writing during that time, and just say, oh, this person has a strong opinion. Let me see what he had to say about it. And if they weren't favorable things, talk about rolling the dice, talking about taking a chance, talking about delivering in the clutch. There have been so many people that tried to help their family, tried to help their friends, have a career, have a job. For them to now become successful together, but also in their own right. Like LeBron James ain't the only player that Rich Paul represent. LeBron James isn't the only individual that Maverick Carter does marketing with and for. Like, these guys have really created something unique and special. But you know what? It doesn't represent the good old boy network. And people like Phil Jackson continue to allow you to know that when they use terms like posse.
When he uses the term posse, one thing I want to make clear is this is a classic case of unconscious bias. Like, he is not, I believe, he is not intending to insult LeBron James and his friends and the people around him. He is not intending to do so. It is not on his mind. He doesn't say, let me fix my face so I can disrespect these people. He's doing it by unconscious bias.
Hit the brakes. How can it be unconscious when he's sitting there talking about a player that's not on his team and trying to check him about some rights that he feels like that he gains as a superstar player by allowing his family and friends access to the team and to the team playing? Yes, he's really speaking on a situation that he's not affiliated with. He's not there on the day-to-day. And since the Knicks are getting jammed up, stop mentioning LeBron James' name.
Well, that's one thing that Carmelo Anthony had to say about it. Carmelo Anthony said this: with Phil, you never know what's going to be said, what's coming, and depending on who's listening. People take it the right way, and people take it the wrong way. I just don't understand him talking about LeBron right now in November.
Melo, walk in the office and waive your no-trade clause. We know that you're not going to go to Sacramento for Boogie. I know that you're not going to go to play with a young and up-and-coming team like Boston. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. 2 destinations for Carmelo Anthony. Go run in Cleveland with LeBron if you can for Kevin Love, or go run with the Clippers if you can find a way to get them to move Blake Griffin. Yep. Those are the 2 moves. He want to play with his banana boat friends.
He does. He wants to play with his banana boat friends.
Because
and when you say this about the president of basketball operations on your own team, when you're criticizing him to the media, you're kind of saying, maybe I don't want to be on this team.
Yeah. Or you kind of acknowledging, I got a no-trade clause.
We'll see if he wins. Good wins and bad losses.
Moral victories do take place in sports. There are times when you go into a game and say, we should beat them. And there are times where you're the underdog, and it becomes a good win or a bad loss.
Who had a good win in Week 10?
Seattle.
Yep.
The election cycle ended, and the panic for the NFL and the product that we saw played out when they scheduled not only this game, but another couple of really good games that weekend that had multiple lead changes. Mm-hmm. This had 8 of them. And it coincidentally ends on a goal line stand, like it happened a couple of years ago with these 2 very teams. I don't know why they tried to sneak Tom Brady from the 3-yard line on first down.
What about third down?
I understand why they gave it to LeGarrette Blount on second down. He only had, being sarcastic, 3 touchdowns on the game. Probably should have got it on first down. I really don't understand why they tried to sneak Tom Brady on third down, who fumbled the football. And lastly, Gronk, Cam Chancellor, comes out of his break, stumbles a little bit, doesn't get the call. No call should have been made. The Seattle Seahawks now look like the class of the NFC. But if you listen to this show, it's broken news for you. I've been talking about that for weeks.
You listen to this show, you know that Jalen's been talking about the Cardinals for about a year, and they're not that good. Another good win.
Can't stand you.
Monday Night Football, the New York Giants. Gambling, going forward on fourth down. Eli Manning has 2 go-ahead passing touchdowns on fourth down in the fourth quarter this year. Giants put a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton. On 13 of his 33 dropbacks, they pressured him. The Giants look like one of those teams that didn't start out hot at the beginning of the year, but is kind of galvanizing as we turn towards the second half of the season.
You have to mention their defense, and Collins in particular, and obviously Odell Beckham Jr.
Of course. Let's get to the fun stuff. What a bad loss.
You're such a Debbie Downer. Why is that the good stuff?
Negativity is so much more fun to talk about.
So you mean negativity would be on the front page, and the positivity,
sure.
You gotta look in the fine
tuck it in
print?
there. Yes, that's how the media works.
Glass?
That's how the media works. What a bad loss.
Okay, the bad loss, the Carolina Panthers.
What happened?
Here's what happened.
Chiefs?
Hey, Cam.
Dabbing?
Jay-Z said it best. If you want the old Jay, buy the old album. Don't be trying to bring out no old dances for a new season.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm going to make a prediction right now. Outfits are going to be a little less loud. The hats are going to get a little smaller as the season goes on. Like, you're going to see, you're just going to see Cam change a little bit.
That's what happens
the season
when
goes
you
on.
go from being 15-1, now they're 3-6. Last place in a bad division at that.
Here's mine. Green Bay Packers. Come on now. The Titans, you can lose to the Titans, that's fine. But 47-25 losing to the Titans? What? 3 games in a row. They've lost 6 of their last 10, and they've lost 12 of their last 21 games. You know it's bad when Mike McCarthy is like, look at my record. I'm good. Guys, I'm good, right? I'm good. Are we good?
Here's my resume.
Yeah, every day he pulls into the lot and he's like, oh, no, there's my name right in my parking spot. Still good.
Here's how it works with Super Bowl winning quarterback and head coach. When things go bad, look at the Giants. Quarterback stays.
Yep.
Coach goes.
Later.
But the difference between how Eli and Coughlin's relationship took place, New York appreciated those 2 Super Bowls so much, they forget Eli's had a lot of terrible years.
Doesn't matter.
The team, by the way, hadn't made the playoffs in multiple years. But they've turned it around this year. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, he had the press conference like, wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You talk to him. He's going to be here next. Mike McCarthy's going to be here next. Save all your questions for him. He's coming.
We're not playing with emotion. We're not playing with enthusiasm. You know, the squirrel got more excitement from the fans than us. They ran out on the field.
To be fair, that was an exciting squirrel, though.
No, it was.
That was an exciting squirrel.
You know what's not exciting?
Exciting squirrel.
Let me tell you what's not exciting.
As far relatively in comparison to other squirrels, that was one of the most exciting football plays I've seen from a squirrel.
What's not exciting when you're Mike McCarthy and you're updating your resume? And I'm going to also do a prediction. He will be coaching another team in the NFL next season. He's shown to be that good.
Real quick, another team with a good win this week.
Another team with a good win, the Dallas Cowboys. If you haven't been paying attention, they've won 8 straight games, led by 2 rookies. Ezekiel Elliott, who basically, as you talk about catching the football out of the backfield and running, he and Le'Veon Bell have established themselves as the best backs in the game. Now he's an MVP candidate. Dak Prescott has been terrific as a rookie, so much so that he benched Tony Romo.
Romo's so sad. I feel bad for Tony Romo. I don't like to see people sad. I like negativity and everything. I just don't like to see people sad. It makes me sad to see him sad.
Here's what people should be sad about. When you play against the Cowboys, it ain't just dinking and dunking to Cole Beasley anymore. He's over the top to Dez. He's finding Witten. The Dallas Cowboys over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, Mike Tomlin. Can't go for 2 every time. Want to go for 2?
Can't go for 2. Now you're just doing it because you said you were going to do it in the first place, but you can't do it. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, maybe I made a bad decision. Maybe we should start kicking these. You know who had a great win this week in Week 10 in the NFL? You know who had a great win? The Detroit Lions. Didn't even play. But if they did play, they would have been down in the 4th quarter, but they didn't even play. But we saw the Packers lose, the Vikings lose, and the Bears lose, which the Lions is a win. Who had a bad loss in Week 10?
Minnesota.
Those Vikings. Come on.
Remember when we had them on the list of not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good?
They were 5-0. They were 5-0.
We were like, no Adrian Peterson.
Maybe you just need a strong defense.
No
Look at the
Teddy
Broncos.
Bridgewater.
The Broncos set the template.
Hey, you know what? Maybe Teddy Bridgewater's days are numbered. And all of a sudden, they win 5 and lose 4 straight.
You know who had a really bad loss in Week 10?
Who's that?
The JRLA Jaguars. You used to talk about your fantasy team so much last year. I knew the whole roster of your fantasy team last year when you were winning. I don't hear anything about your fantasy team this year. You put up $10,000, okay? Now just think about other things you could do with that money. You could just, next time, just say, you know what, LeBron and them, I love y'all very much, but I'm not going to be in the league next year. I'm just going to donate that money to charity.
The individual more upset about the JRLA's 3-7 record overall is the team's co-founder, Molly Karam.
You're in trouble.
Now all of a sudden it's
all your fault.
Why did I choose to invest that kind of money in fantasy? I'm like, we've been playing a couple of years. Like we played last year. You know what I mean?
You should make her put some up.
No,
put some up.
This is the fans should just tweet her and see if she consider putting up $5K.
You remember that O.J. Simpson documentary series that ESPN did?
I do.
I loved it. It made
Big
me
shout
proud.
Ezra.
Made me proud.
I was trying to work with Ezra for a long time. I was a fan of what he did with the Bird and Magic project.
He's got game, too. I played basketball with him.
We were going to do a Tommy Hearns 30 for 30.
Sneaky little jump shot off the dribble.
ESPN agreed to do it. Had multiple meetings with Tommy and his representatives. Felt like we had a deal. Felt like it was going to get done.
I didn't see that.
Before you know it, he decided for whatever reason he didn't want to do it.
Hey, just stop. You're trying to set up the next meeting. Didn't work out.
And now we don't have a Motor City Cobra. A Hitman Hearns 30 for 30 that the world would have loved to see his story.
Another reluctant documentary subject out there who's saying, you know what, maybe it's time to tell my story. The NBA and the Creative Artists Agency are shopping a 10-hour authorized documentary about Michael Jordan. He's saying, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do this. We'll tell my story in 10 hours. Can we just let me just... That's too long, Mike. That's too long. It's not. This isn't the OJ trial. You know what I mean? It's 10 hours. It's just too long. I'll watch a 2-hour documentary about Michael Jordan. I'll watch Come Fly With Me again. But 10 hours, Jalen, I don't need that much Michael Jordan.
I respectfully say this, and I talked about trying to produce a second project, and I'm fortunate that I was able to executive produce the Fab Five project.
One of the best.
So I will say this: when I hear 10 hours of Michael Jordan documentary, you know the first thing I think about? See Kobe Bryant doc. Great players. Don't think they're going to be the best documentaries. Would love to be wrong.
Oh, so first you try to break Kobe's ankle in the finals, and now you're going to disrespect his documentary effort. It was a piece of art, Jalen. It was art. Let the artist be the artist.
Well, here's the thing.
He was a muse.
You start off doing the documentary, and you want to interview all these great people. Let's see what Phil has to say. Let's see what Shaq has to say. Let's see what opponents has to say. And then Kobe, like Mike, are going to look at that and be like, you know what? I just care what I have to say.
Yeah. It's great what they had to say and everything, but this is about me.
I want to control my message.
Let's just have me do that.
Yes. And that's what I foresee. So just like we said for the purchasers of the UFC, when they kindly donated hefty sums of money, and we felt like good investment, long term.
Page 6 says they're looking for $20 million for this.
Kind of like our program. It's one card away from being canceled.
Mm-hmm. One bad night away from the USA going away.
And so I say there will be someone with buyer's remorse that writes a $20 million check to get the rights to this documentary.
ESPN, pass on this. Take that $20 million, invest it in Jalen Jacoby.
Yep. How about this? Just give us 2 of it.
Yeah.
Let us invest the other 18. Speaking of that, big shout Dave Chappelle.
Was great on Saturday Night Live.
Period.
What the world needed.
Period.
Mark Cuban bought the Mavs. He said when he first bought the team, he played Dirk one-on-one.
Mark.
He scored 2 straight points on him, and then he stopped the game up 2-1. Which part of this do you find least believable?
I find it least believable that he told multimedia members that unless they covered the team for all 82 games, that he's not going to credential them.
What?
That's what they call the local media. That's what they call the beat writers, the people that are with you every day.
He's going to walk that one back.
And by the way, it's okay for people to have some level, you hope, of unbiased that are going to actually pay attention to your team and report it. This is how you continue to have a successful franchise. But the story you just told me, where's LL?
I can see a world where he scores 2 straight points on Dirk Nowitzki.
Me too.
I can see that happening.
But not because Dirk is playing one-on-one against him. There's a difference between standing in front of somebody letting them shoot versus playing one-on-one like your life depended on it.
Okay, when the owner of the team comes over to you and says, hey, do you want to play one-on-one? Can you say no?
It's like playing against the president. He's like, yeah, come on. Ha, 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 ha. And he just shoot a couple. You like, can't make another one. He made another one and he quit.
But here's why I respect Mark Cuban for this. If I was up 2-1 on a Hall of Fame basketball player, I'm done too. I'm never playing you again. I'm walking out of the gym. I'm never playing you again.
Jacoby, it wouldn't have taken you 15 plus years to tell the story though. That's why I'm like,
that's a good point.
That's why I'm like, where's LL when I need him?
Russell Westbrook once again had 33
Furious
points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. However, once again, the Thunder did not win. They started 6-1. Everything was great. Right now, they are 6-5. Where do you think they will end up?
That NBA schedule will catch up to you.
Real quick.
Look no further than that team who got off to a terrific start, but they had a favorable schedule in a lot of people's eyes, including mine. I do anticipate, however, if you got a guy flirt with a triple-double every night, and I said Russell Westbrook could be the first guy since the Big O to average one for an entire season, you're going to be a playoff team in the West because those last 2 spots are up for grabs. And I'm just enjoying, for all of those who try to dumb down the regular season, get out the League Pass remote. Yep. Enjoy what you're seeing from DeMar DeRozan, basically putting up 35 a night. Enjoy what you're seeing from Russell Westbrook. And enjoy what you're seeing from James Harden, who has a chance to be the first guy to lead the league in points and assists.
Check in on Joel Embiid. Check in on Joel Embiid now so you can watch it now because in 3 years, he's going to be that guy.
Hey, Anthony Davis putting up points and rebounds, crazy blocks, steals, and assists. Like, there are some players.
And then you know what you do? Take your remote. Check in on Jalen Jacoby.
Get the people what they need.
On ESPN 2, all night on ESPN.
And that's just going deeper into the box score. Harrison Barnes scored 30, averaged 30-plus last week, trying to earn his money with the Mavs. So there are some great storylines happening besides just the Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the league.
You know what I'm doing, Jalen? I'm jumping all on the Clippers bandwagon.
Get off the bandwagon.
You're
not jumping on the bandwagon.
bandwagon.
No, that's not a surprise for the people listening to this
program. I'm
program.
jumping all on the Clippers bandwagon. I've been a die-easy Clippers fan, but you know, he was punching the equipment manager, and Chris Paul got hurt. It just kind of all fell apart at the end of last year. It didn't feel good. Right now, I am officially jumping on the Clippers bandwagon.
Get off the bandwagon.
10-1. Best record in the league. Beating teams by an average of 16.6 points a game. That says something. I know you say, it's only 11 games in the season. This means something. When you are beating teams by 16.6 a game, you're blowing people out night after night.
If you're surprised at the Clippers' regular season success, you haven't closely followed the league the last handful of years. They kept their team intact while the San Antonio Spurs saw Tim Duncan retire and get old.
Here's Pau Gasol.
Here's Tony Parker has gotten older, along with Manu Ginobili. They've revamped their roster, and because they're such a great team, developed Kawhi Leonard into an MVP caliber player, acquired LaMarcus Aldridge, who's an all-star caliber player. And so they're still going to be amongst the top 2 or 3 in the Western Conference. But if you're the Clippers, this is your best chance, if not ever, to field a roster that's probably the best that the team has ever done overall, but with players performing at all NBA and all-star levels in the prime of their careers. But B, if you're going to beat the Golden State Warriors, who you used to look at eye to eye like, yeah, they on the come up, we on the come up. But you know what happened? They went on to win a championship, win 73 games, and add KD. So while they didn't fill the spot at the 3, they still got all NBA performers in CP3, Blake, and DeAndre, who will be an all-star for the first time this year.
Can we talk about CP3 and DeAndre? There's a reason that no one's ever headbutted high five before. Like, there's a reason for that. Like, how did you guys think this was going to end up? Do you think the football players do that? Guess what? They're wearing helmets.
Well, when I saw the Cubs do a celebration during their World Series run, they were doing a celebration I hadn't seen and hope I don't see again either.
Maybe there's a reason that no one did that before either. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN 2 and ESPN News, and subscribing.
Thank you.
To the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
We'll be back tomorrow.
I'm Eric Carabell. On the latest fantasy-focused baseball podcast, Tristan Cockroft and I discussed what was learned from the baseball playoffs for fantasy purposes, prospects on display at Arizona Fall League who looked great, plus many, many hash browns to answer.
It's an SEC West showdown in Starkville, Mississippi, when Arkansas faces Mississippi State.
He's looking to throw. He gets drilled.
Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPNU.